Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for Holiday Edition, End of Year Edition, Year in Review Edition of YBMcast, Youth Baseball Talk. Was that good?
Yeah, 12 months of it. 12 months. You had 12 months to get a good one.
Yeah.
And I think
I finally nailed it.
You crushed it.
All right. Yes. Thank you, man. Appreciate you, bro. And as always, I'm joined by my cohort. Right next to me here, Mitch Thomas from the Hitting Zone. How are you, sir?
I am well.
You're looking quite festive in your Cardinal STL hat there.
Yeah, I've had this thing for a while. I thought it turned pink on me because for whatever reason today I feel like I'm colorblind. But I figured, it's winter meetings. You just got through them. There's a lot of buzz about Cardinals baseball. So I figured it was a Santa Claus hat. And really it's to hide the long hair that I have.
And just remember, kids, it is mom and dad who buys the presents. I'm just telling you.
Merry Christmas.
I mean, I'm just that guy. I'm sorry. I can't help it, man. It's mom and dad. Give some love to mom and dad. You know what I'm saying? They didn't just appear. Just
watch the show so that anybody that's 9 years old that might still let them believe.
Let them believe in Jesus. That works. That's me. Okay? Moving right along, we're going to talk a little baseball here.
That's a buzzkill.
No, man, I'm for family. We got everybody coming over Saturday, doing brunch for the entire fam.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, got some honey baked ham, doing some chicken and waffles. We got a little
honey syrup. What are you doing?
Probably syrup. I'm a syrup guy. We do our own syrup, make our own syrup and all that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so got the whole family coming over. Got lots of food, doing some biscuits and gravy, some eggs, some omelets.
How many people you have coming over?
Oh, gosh. I have a big family.
I was going to say, I feel like you need maybe one more. I'll just show up for the biscuits and gravy.
Come on over and jump in there, Mitch.
The chicken and waffles are, that's pretty good stuff, man. Don't sleep on the chicken and waffles. First time I went to Atlanta, someone was like, you got to get these chicken and waffles. And I actually used honey for the first time the last year I was at Wash U for breakfast. We had them. I tell you what, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like dipping French fries in ice cream from Wendy's or
the
Dairy
Frosted,
Queen.
The chocolate.
Yeah,
baby.
like it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but it makes
sense.
It do. It does, for sure.
When it hits the taste buds, you go, yes.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow. I didn't think that kind of paired, but it pairs.
What else can we tell? I mean, and that's the great thing about this. We got like 25, 30 people over at the house, just enjoying the day. And that's what I love about this is the family get together, the kids and everybody. It's family time. I'm not one of those dreads, like somebody, no. I like the family over, and we do that. And that's, we enjoy that time. And we eat.
This is probably my favorite time of year, or favorite holiday, I should say. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the 5 o'clock in the morning getting up because of the kids kind of things, but I've always loved Christmas. And I don't know if that is because most of the time it has, it's big family events where 4th of July, you kind of tend to whatever, You're
playing baseball.
Easter is one of those things where it's, kind of the same, I guess. Getting your family together, but it's always ham. When you get to Christmas, it's like we got tenderloins, your filet mignons. I mean, we're eating completely different for some odd reason on Christmas than we do any other holiday. So,
well, we are doing the ham, though. We're doing a honey-baked ham. I love honey-baked ham, man.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with ham.
No, I eat the although my wife doesn't like it. So we do it this one time from the honey baked store because most people like ham. But my wife doesn't like ham, so we get her stuff. But, that's kind of the way that goes. But, you just slide it in there once in a while.
It's a small ham. It's not a big ham. It's a slice, thin slice.
We're just throwing all kinds of stuff out there. What is your favorite recipe?
For the holidays?
Yeah.
Or just in general?
No, for the holidays.
Chocolate cream pie.
Is that right?
I love it.
Oh, no
kidding.
And
specifically, like it can't be like the Ready Whip, out of a can. It can't be The instant pudding, it has to be Jell-O pudding, chocolate pudding. It has to be made, whatever. My significant other's mom had made it from scratch years ago. My mom had made it from scratch, and now they use kind of Jell-O pudding, which I love. Jell-O pudding, and then Cool Whip, and the extra creamy Cool Whip and chocolate shavings.
Ooh!
For some odd reason,
you tear that up with the gusto of a hound dog, don't you?
Yeah, I would rather have that than I think some of the other things. I mean, macaroni and cheese. You can't go wrong with macaroni and cheese.
We will have we're not making it ourselves because we use the Bob Evans mac and cheese, man.
Like out of the freezer section or whatever at the store.
It's
we
the
use the
bomb.
same thing. We use the same thing.
It's the bomb.
And pastaroni. Angel hair pasta.
Yeah.
It's like 25 cents a box, and I absolutely love it. I ate it with a tomahawk steak the other day. How ridiculous is that?
Ooh.
We had a tomahawk, and I had a $1 box of pasta with a $100 steak. And I loved it. I loved every bite of that.
Oh,
I loved
man.
it.
Comment below. Comment there. What is your favorite holiday dish and all that stuff? My mom makes fudge from scratch, and she's always made pies. And Thanksgiving, I did that one time. It was actually my dad's father, my grandpa French. He worked in restaurants his whole life, and he would make the dough from scratch, and he showed my mom how to do it, and she makes the dough from scratch and all that, and so.
Man, fudge. My dad makes a really good fudge, and he does
I got
like
some
the
fudge
peppermint.
for you over there, bro.
Okay, let's go.
Yes, I do. I got.
As
some
you can
fudge
tell, I have the physique of sweets.
Exactly, and that's as you come back to it, prime rib. Who doesn't like some prime rib?
Yeah, it changed a long time ago. My dad had said, you know what, I'm tired of turkey. I'm tired of ham. Let's do something different. He would go outside and he would cook a steak or, whatever. Yeah. And so that kind of tradition a little bit changed. Christmas for families is always tough. You're going from one house to another house, or you spend 3 days traveling on Christmas Eves. I have an older daughter.
It's different than Thanksgiving, isn't it?
Yeah, and I have an older daughter now that has a family, and she's has another side of her family, so they have to do that as well. So it's, what are you doing on Friday? Like, we have plans on Friday, right? We have plans on Christmas Eve, and we have plans on Christmas. I'm like, you can't even almost enjoy it. And I'm like, I just, and I don't know if I'm getting older. I'm not sure, or maybe I'm less family orientated. I don't know. I'm like, I just want to sit at home.
See, because it's like, I'm with you. And that's what we did, because Lauren over there, she was married a year and a half ago now. Not quite, a little bit, But her husband's family, they live over in the Warrenton area and whatnot. We invited them over, so everybody come on over. I love that part of it. It doesn't bother me. I love to have the people around. It's fun, and it's all still family. To me, when you get those types of things, put away the nonsense. Everybody just come and enjoy and have some fun.
Yeah, there's always got to be a TV on for football, though.
Well,
it is NBA weekend. It's usually Lakers Celtics kind of thing on Christmas, and
not anymore.
Really?
Well, the Celtics are still good.
Well, the Lakers are struggling because you have LeBron James.
Anywho, let's move on.
Let's talk baseball.
Football.
It's
baseball.
It's
but that's the thing. We're just talking. It's an end of year review the year. We're talking. It's a holiday. We're coming up on it. It's
Second show's gonna start in a
Tuesday.
minute.
We're coming up to that. What is your favorite dishes? What do you like to do? Put it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear that stuff. It'd be fun, right?
Yeah, tackle football.
You're
outside
day,
with your 10-year-old to 18-year-old kids out there just running into each other, just burying each other.
And it's going to be frosty on
it's going to be
Saturday
cold.
and Sunday. Frosty.
I'm believe it or not, I am going to try to hunt Thursday and Friday, and Friday is expected to have like
0
with 40-mile-an-hour gust, and I'm going to be sitting out in the goose blind thinking that's the right thing to do.
And then you're going to go, what am I doing out here?
Well, I have a heater.
Okay.
I'll keep the wind off me, which is
How
good.
will the heater help?
It won't.
Okay.
It won't.
So it's a mental thing.
Yeah, and it's perfect example of why women probably live longer than men is they don't go outside when it's negative 20 degrees to harvest an animal that you want to have for Christmas dinner.
It reminds me
Christmas
of
goose.
The comedy routine of Bill Engvall when he took his wife deer hunting. Bill. Did
I do
you
miss
get
that
my
show.
purse?
We gotta watch. You gotta tag that so I can watch this.
I
later.
got to. Yeah, that's one of his. That's funny. Took his wife deer hunting. Yes.
Is that on his own show or was that?
No,
on
that was just a routine, a comedy routine.
I got you because I know that they did the one with the 4 with Ron White, Larry.
Oh,
the Cable Guy,
the comedy. Yeah, blue collar comedy tour. Yeah. No, I don't. He might have done that in there at one time, but this was just one of his specials.
He's one of my favorites actually.
Yeah,
I liked him and Ron White over the other two.
I guess we ought to talk some baseball at this
Maybe,
point.
and don't forget your sponsor.
Oh,
we forgot to.
We're getting there. No, we just went right into it. We're not going to because we're going to talk a little Game 7 baseball. The fellas are coming up because I
was so excited about the .com.
We're reviewing
Game7baseball.com.
Game 7 baseball.
Well, that's over now. I've given it away. .com.
We're a mess. Sorry, Dave and Dave. Yeah, Game7baseball.com. Register your team. They got some stuff going on. It's starting to get there. We're going to go through a little bit of that, but I want to come back to this because talking a little year in review, I'm going to start back here. Arch Madness, our first venue. It was pretty cold out at Ozzy's, but we had some fun out there. You guys were out there in that tournament.
That was early on.
Yeah, that was one of those first ones. It was a really good tournament. 14U, the Illinois Gators come out on top.
Yeah, they were good.
Yates' squad. Yeah, that's a good little squad.
I think, didn't we end up in a portion of that weekend? I think we played over in O'Fallon, Illinois, too, didn't we? Was that the weekend that we might have been over there? I can't remember. We got in that tournament because of the fact that
I think so, because of rain or something.
Right,
yeah.
on a day, and then I don't know. I think Sunday we played over at Ozzy's or something like that. But we played O'Fallon, Illinois, maybe Saturday. We got in that tournament early on because we were going that very next weekend down to Ballparks of America to play. And so I was like, I want to go down there and at least get a little bit of, togetherness to before we go down and play out of town. And it was cold.
And that kind of
bundled up.
Yeah, that kind of points you to, the Illinois Gators were Gas House, Coach Basta's squad there, his Gas House team, Coach Yates, his Gators team, Midmo Sliders, the St. Louis Naturals, Bollinger's squad there. There was quite a few teams. I thought that, the Union Wildcats, Calkins team was pretty decent that last year. The Midland Bandits were there. You guys were in that. You guys went 1-0-1 in pool, and you faced off against the Midmo Sliders in the gold championship bracket, and they got past you pretty good there.
Pretty good.
We won't say.
Pretty good. Now, you could say whatever it was because pretty good was the 22-0 whooping that we got from Basta.
Oh, that was a pretty good one.
Yeah, 8-0 ain't too bad compared to 22-0.
So that was our first one. We did not. I don't think we broadcast that championship game.
No, I thought that you were trying to though, but it was just
we couldn't do it out at Ozzy's because
windy. It was cold.
Well, I don't think we had the bandwidth to do it.
I got
for
you.
whatever reason at Ozzie Smith's, complex, couldn't do that. So there you go. And we're looking at 14U, and here was the other one. This is the first one we did was the Show Me Slam. It's the first one we had done live. We did the championship game live out at C&H Ballpark with the SEMO Cardinals coming out on top. That was a pretty decent team there, beating Boston squad 6-2 in the championship game. Midwest Futures were in that. The Winfield Wolves.
Was that Eddinger's?
Yes.
Or
yeah. It was. They lost 3-1 in that semifinal. We got there. We watched. We actually broadcast the last part of that ball game. that semifinal, which was a really good game. And then the championship game was good. The SEMO Cardinals, they had some kids that could swing at that catcher. I think his last name was Shipman. He was a good baseball player. Hit the ball off the wall a couple times there at CNH.
That's right. Shipman was the kid, and he pitched really darn good too.
Did he really?
Yeah. We faced him maybe the next weekend. Felt like we faced them guys. I think so.
Yeah, Carter Shipman,
because he caught and then came in and closed, and he was throwing BBs, and then they took him out. Like, he only pitched one inning, and they took him out and let him rest. I think he maybe started the championship game or something like that.
No, he was behind the plate for the championship game.
Not that weekend. We weren't in that weekend. I think it's
okay.
another weekend that they were in it. And maybe it was the first weekend. I feel like it was in Allen, Illinois that we played them guys, because I was talking to their coach and their program in general. Like, they don't extend past youth.
Uh-huh.
They just go to 14U, and it's kind of a restart with them guys where they get into the high school levels. They have high school teams that kind of stick together with basically where they play high school ball, whether it's Legion or whatever. There's just different opportunities down there in the small towns. Yeah. We've talked about that before on the show.
Yes.
Small town versus this, St. Louis, St. Charles County.
Exactly. And when you're talking about baseball at this level, we didn't get to do this one. I don't think I think it got rained out, was the super regional there at Bridgeton. But then we also,
I thought that one played out. You guys were there.
Were we? The super regional?
Yeah, actually, what was just interesting, I was going through something, and you guys recorded. It was a tournament at BMAC. I remember specifically because you guys recorded. You guys recorded one of my catcher throwing out a kid, and then you interviewed my coaches.
It was. Weekend. This is one. Yes, we did do this one. You're right.
Because
the 314 Apaches beat the Midwest Futures.
Horn,
we were there for
right?
that one. No, Edinger.
Oh,
Edinger squad. Because the Metro East Mavericks were there, the Edwardsville Spikes were there, St. Louis Browns. That was also a good one. I mean, there was some good squads. I'm looking forward to seeing. And we're going to look at this here in just a minute. But I liked looking at the year in review, what we saw, what we did. And when you're talking about clubs across the board there, and you're looking at, the Midwest Futures around here, the Rawlings Tigers, and what we've discussed, we've always talked about, this is why at the 14U, I don't mind putting some of the power rankings, if you want to say it that way, or ranking teams in that respect, because you got AA, you've got AAA, you've got these things, and once you get past 14U, that 15U stuff, the AA, AAA stuff's really going to go away.
What's interesting, I thought the same thing, but there's still tournament providers that will still kind of label the level because at the 15U level, because that's your experiences with the previous couple of years. But 17 and 18, they don't do that no more. You need to know who you're playing. You cannot go into a tournament wanting to play against a national team if you're a lower level group. You're going to want to find tournaments that you can compete in, and so you have to do some due diligence on paying attention to tournament providers and the teams that you're playing.
And I think once you get into that space, Mitch, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe when you get to that, especially past 15, the 16, 17, 18s, it starts to get kind of this. You get kids playing in the 17. You have you'll have 15, 16, 16, 17, or actually it's 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yep.
And it's really kind of in that. And I think that's where you have that delineation between kids that are playing at that next level in the national side to the regional and to the state. I think that's where you start looking at recruiting. If you want to go to school and play baseball, where are you at as a player in that moment? And that doesn't mean you can't develop into a better player. That's not the point of any of this conversation. But if you're not quite at a regional level and you're not competing at that space where you can travel with a team, having success, hitting in that 300 mark, against regional opponents, guys that you're seeing in that mid-80 range, pitching-wise and whatnot, you might want to think where you're at and your development and who's going to best bring you to that place.
Yeah, pay attention. I think at that age, let's start with why we even see 15s and 16s and 17s and 18s and not three different, 18 teams or 12 teams in a 14U age group. It starts to, dwindle or diminish the number of players, the number of teams that you have at the high school level, because that's the change, right? I mean, kids either maybe focus on a different sport, maybe they fell out of love with it because they didn't have fun. Something we talked about last week with Scott down at Ballparks Village. It changes, and if they get cut from the high school ball, they feel a particular way about the sport. They lose that confidence and that passion. So we have to do a better job as saying, hey, there's always still a place to play at the high school level. You just need to understand where you're at. And if it's recreational, it's recreational.
Right.
Go up to O'Fallon, or I don't know if they have a high school age division, but go somewhere and play. And it doesn't matter if they're 18 and you're 15. Go play the game of baseball, because that's what you do anyways if you got lucky to make your high school team, but not good enough to make a regional or a state or higher than that. There's still a place. It's just like, in my opinion, if you want to play college baseball, you can.
Right.
You might not be able to make a varsity squad, but why can't you go play at an NAIA school that may have a JV team? And they don't play many games, but at the end of the day, you still get to participate. I'm by no means am I saying participation trophies. I am saying there's an opportunity to play and go get it. Like, don't stop playing if you love the sport.
We're talking about a year in review here. When we go back and we look at our subject matter that we've talked a lot about, and I think one of the biggest ones we've discussed is the A, AA, AAA major ranking systems and whatnot that are there mainly for the tournament directors to create the best possible competitive situation within a tournament that they can. And for the most part, I think the guys do a great job of that. I know we talk with Dave Penning and Dave Schmidt all the time about those things, and those guys work very hard at it. And I'm sure other tournament providers do as well, because you want that competitiveness. So, in that respect, I understand those things. But in this scenario, as we're talking, and this is what I will say, and this goes back to if we're reviewing conversations. When you get past 14U and you get into high school and whatnot, if you're looking to play beyond high school baseball, first and foremost, this is what we're dealing with. Being prepared to play at the high school level. This was always the point. When you have kids at 9, 10, 11, and 12, quit worrying about where you're ranked in the nation. Doesn't really matter, because to me those are skewed and really don't matter too much in the scope of anything. That's good for everybody going, and I know that there's rankings out there and everybody goes, see what not, you come play with us, we're the best team in the country. Okay, but where's the development? What's the thought process? Is my son, my daughter, and if you're playing softball or whatever the case, or if there's girls playing baseball, I've seen some of them out there. Are they learning the game the way it should be? Are they learning the game in a facet that will help them grow as a person? Are they getting the development fundamentally? Where are your keys? If winning is the only thing, then I think at this age, at the younger age levels, that becomes problematic. I think winning should be, the result should be something that it's grown into that. If you are developing and playing the game correctly, learning how to play the game, learning how to do it correctly, wins will come. Success will come. I believe that. I really do. That doesn't mean you may have as much talent as another team. You might run into a buzzsaw. But as long as you're competing with that team, that's the key. and you keep working to get better. That should be the goal with your 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids is, did this year, we can set goals. We were 12 and 12, 15 and 15 this year. Can we be 20 and 10 this coming year? Can we add 5 wins?
What did you do to lose those games? And
Right.
that's where you start to build into your IQ that you're just talking about, or the development of the athlete and the in-game stuff. One of my favorite times of playing baseball was as an adult, because one, it was stress-free, but I played with a bunch of guys who were good baseball minds, and we understood, like, when is a great time to bunt? When is a great time to hit and run? And we didn't give signs. You just knew, like, you could look at a player and there was a tap, like it's the back picks, like these things, like this is what drives me crazy about our youth in general right now is there's not a lot of kids that understand history. And I know that we've had some kids on here that have done a really good job in the trivia, but they don't pay attention to the baseball history. Maybe they'd pay attention to the team in the area, which is good still. But, I ask kids a bunch of questions that have no idea about the baseball movies that are out there, and it's frustrating because there's a lot to learn from watching a baseball game at the highest level. Right. And even at the college level where they really start talking about on air, because, obviously the SEC gets played all the time on the SEC network with ESPN or whatever, you get to hear them talk about why, when they're not in position, how plays can't be made, and then where that player should have been. And to me, that's a learning opportunity, and I feel like that's where we miss. And when we're talking about a 9-year-old, you don't want a 9-year-old to be ranked number 1 at 9 years old. You want him to be number 1 at 16, 17 years old. If he is blossomed at 9 and all these other kids are working their tail off to take his spot and he ain't working, the ranking means nothing.
Right.
If you're not willing to work. And I ask the question all the time, what are you good at? And people would tell me they're good at, like, if I ask, like I just asked a younger man last night, he's 17 years old, and I said, what do you love to do? He loves to race cars. He loves to drift. He loves to work on cars. I said, how often do you work on cars? He goes, I'm in my car every day. I said, how? So I asked him, I started asking him mechanical questions. He started answering me like that. But as soon as I started talking to him about hitting, it was a blank stare. Like, he couldn't understand certain things. You have to work on your craft every day, or consistently. And 9 years old, I don't want my son to be, or daughter to be, the best at 9 years old. I want them to be good, of course. But I want them to be learning. I want them to have fun, because if they're having fun, they're going to soak up the learning. In my opinion, and I've learned that, like, as you get older, girls have to have fun in order to win. Guys, as I'm talking high school ages, guys have to win to have fun. As you get older, because it's not any fun to lose. It's two different sides of the game.
Dynamics, right?
Yeah. As you start, like, watch a pregame in a softball game. It's the music, it's the dancing, and you get away with that. In baseball, you don't get that. It's business.
One of the other points that we've talked a lot about in this past season is the dynamics of parents at the ball field with their kids and things like this. And we're all guilty of things here and there that we've done that we always look back and go, oh my gosh,
I was that guy.
Right?
I was that guy.
That's if you're honest with yourself, you'll assess that way. But one of the other points that we've talked about with parents and is learning how to put the child in the best case scenario. Club baseball's here, right? But there's all kinds of other baseball out there, and I'm not diminishing club baseball or this baseball or that baseball, but don't pigeonhole yourself into certain things. There are other opportunities out there to play baseball at a high level. It isn't just a club. Could you, if you're a person, and you want to start an independent baseball team, you can still do that. If you want to go to a club, if you're looking for opportunities for more development, but what does that mean? And then there's costs involved, and how do you deal with the costs to parents? And then when you're discussing those things, are we vetting the clubs? Are we talking to the coaches? Who is coaching the team? Is it the dad? Where's the dad's knowledge? And is there opportunity for the club to help the fathers get the knowledge they need to help the kids continue to develop? Where are all these things happening? And I think there are clubs that deal with that at that level.
Oh yeah, I mean there's clubs out there that I think are fantastic with some of the plans that they have, and some of the larger ones, the kids programs that they have, and the resources, and that's what I'm realizing now is as I have a small organization of teams, I cannot give everything I want to them. One, it comes with things, that stuff comes with a cost when you have a service. But I would love to be, instead of working on so much the mechanics of hitting, I would love to talk about what's up here and find out why kids lose confidence so quick, or find out why they struggle and look back at a parent when they swing and miss. Right. What is that for? So that way I can connect with that athlete on a different level, so that when I do have the hitting lesson with them or the session with them, I could really understand what they're going through when I have a certain energy in my approach. And I'm a pusher. Like, if you're not doing your job, I don't want to work with you. I want you to go home. I want you to take the night off. I don't want you coming in here with a lack of effort. It's my time. I care about my time. And so, but to me, I would love to do that. And that's what I see in some of these bigger organizations. They're able to hire, and that's obviously part of these people's cost. So if you're one of those families that say, okay, well, I don't really care about it, I'm just going to go do this and whatever, you're not using the services to its max potential. And, I would suggest that's part of your decision. If they're offering mental this and this and this and this, and you can only participate in one of those things, you're paying for all four of them. Mm-hmm. You're not getting it separate. You're just not showing up.
Right.
But don't complain when your son or daughter is having issues being confident at the dish.
Right.
Especially when they're giving you the tools to be able to do that. So think about those things when you're going into this, the time commitment that it takes. You know what I mean? Because that's what it is. It's a commitment. This journey is, it's not easy. People think it's easy. It's not.
No, it isn't. And then on the club side, we've discussed this at different times. Again, I'm going to go back to the Matheny Manifesto, whether it offends people or not. I disagree with what Mike Matheny said. Did he have a lot of good points within that? Sure. But that, parents need to stay silent. You just sit down and shut up. No, that's my son. And I think that's wrong. That's the wrong attitude to have. And I think parents feel that way. There are certain clubs that say, here, drop your kid off, leave and whatnot. Fine. I don't have a problem with those things in that respect as far as practice, their focus and whatnot, as long as I'm allowed to be part of this process and having the conversations when it's necessary to make sure I'm on the same page and I know and whatnot, and I know what's being said to my son or my daughter or whatever the case may be. Because regardless of what we may or may not think, it's parents who raise the children. And I believe in that very much, and parents need to be involved. Are there always going to be problematic parents at times? Yes. Just as there are problematic coaches in clubs. I don't care what anybody says. You can't say, well, you can't excuse one or the other. For the most part, there are decent people out there working just to help these kids get better. That's the majority. But where there's always going to be a percentage on either side that are problematic. And that's what's at issue here. But we can't, the old saying, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Never heard that. Is that like the
that
same?
That's why it's an old saying.
See, you're showing your age again, 59 and a half. The only thing that do you guys know who Adam Sandler is?
No. Who's Adam Sandler?
He did a skit. It just made me fun and think about the skit that he did on his, I don't know if he ever did it on Saturday Night Live or anything, when he says, hot water, burn the baby. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then the whole skit's like, that's what I thought when you said that to me. And I'm like, it has nothing to do with whatever. So is that saying like, don't bite the hand that feeds you?
Don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Is that the same
Don't
thing?
do it.
Is that the same thing? Is that the same kind of? Okay.
No, not really.
No.
It's not don't bite the hand that feeds you. It's you throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's the idea that everything's bad and we just chuck it all out. No.
Oh.
So
don't shake the baby either.
It might puke
to dry
on
it
you.
off. Oh my Lord!
You lift the baby up and just black. Anywho, where'd we go?
I have no idea. That was terrible. Don't cut it out though.
We're reviewing. And these are topics we've discussed throughout the year. You can go back and look and whatnot. I kind of bring these up, for youth baseball. There's been a lot of the stuff with the kids and stuff. We've had a great time talking with the kids out at the ballpark.
That's the funnest. I
that
wish,
to me is the best part of it.
I know that I've tried to connect with you several times when we're out and about. Mm-hmm. It's just never worked out, and it's times that I want to take a break, and I don't want to be out there in the sun, but when we were with you at the World Series, I got to sit with you. My kids love that, the experience they had in their interviews. And then the post game of that, it was a great game to begin with that we played in. It was a 1-0 game, I believe, that you guys recorded.
Indy Clutch, you guys.
Yeah. And that was a good team. I mean, they had some size. And then,
you threw your wicked lefty.
Yeah, Titus went out there and threw a gem against them and got out of some tough situations. So that was fun for them. They were in there listening. You saw parents wanting to get involved into listening, and like there was a nice little congregation right there just talking about youth sports. And just going back to what you said about parents and Matheny's manifesto, when I first read that, I loved that comment, but it was only for the surface. Of the statement. And at the time, you're dealing with those situations, that's what you feel. But
it's easy to say, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And once the first time you said that, and I think it was one of the very first episodes a year and some change ago, when I sat down with you, you had mentioned this, man, and I thought about what you said. And I was like, at the time, I think I disagreed. I was like, no, he's 100% accurate. And then I thought about it more. Parents are most invested. They have the most invested in this process. And you, as coaches, we need to learn how to connect with that parent, build a relationship with that parent to build that trust. And I think that's where you start to grow as a program is let's have those conversations. They can be tough.
Yes.
But make sure that when I ask a tough question, then give me my tough answer. And if you ask me the same, please respect that. And I'll give you that tough answer that you asked me.
That's why I always say, if that's the case, if you're being honest as a parent, as a coach, as a club facility, whatever the case may be, if you're honest and they say, I don't agree, well, then that's why I said there's another place for that family, for that player. There's other, that's why.
First, try to build the relationship to find a middle ground.
Fine.
We've been compromising with our significant others for a long time. So,
and this is why I
what's
say,
for dinner?
Go talk.
Cut.
Anyway, go talk to. This is why we talk about vetting. As a parent, you take your kid to the tryout. Do you even know anything about the club? Do you know who runs the club? Do you know the person? Do you know the people? Take the time to get to know. If they don't want to say, no, we don't do that, well, then maybe I'm just going to decide if somebody else does and I talk to them and I like what they do and this and that, then I'm going to go to that tryout maybe. We spend way too much time thinking about, they're winning all the time or they're this or that. There's very few teams that just win all the time, especially at the majority level of the AA level.
There's a lot of parity in that group.
Yes.
Especially from last year. And I know that Boss's team have won a significant amount of games. I actually got into it with somebody the other day talking about Bossa should have never been in that level. I said, why? Because every tournament he played in, he was in the finals. He has a good team.
He has a good team.
He has a good AA team. He's really, really close to being a AAA caliber team and competing at that level.
Right.
But if Basta wasn't in it, then they would have said it about Donnie Horn or Ettinger's futures team.
And that's the thing, that the competition was good. They weren't just blowing people out. Did they have some that they did?
Yeah,
yes.
we lost 22-0. I remember.
Yes, I know.
Bring it up.
I was trying to scare there.
I talk about it all the time. I hit with him now.
There was some very good championship games. There were some really good AA teams. You start playing. There are very few AAA major teams around, and most of those are traveling in regional aspects.
They have to,
which is fine. That's where that should be, and that's where you see your delineation, especially, in my opinion, at the 14U level when we talk about state, regional, national. If you've got a 14U kid that is exceptional and they're not, but then it goes to this, okay? You're finding the competition, but then remember this as parents, as you're going through the 9, 10, 11, 12, don't forget, all you're really working towards is to get your player in position to make his high school team. Make the high school team first. Then start looking at, when you get to that 14U, are you good enough? Have you went and watched? Have you talked to the coach? Are we watching the high school team where your son's going to be playing? And I don't know how many. I know some that do. I know that there are some people that know, and they've been to the camps. They know the coaches. How well does your player at 10, 11, 12, are they going to the camps, and are they understanding who the coach is? Do they know who the head coach is at that high school team? And get familiar with your surroundings.
Yeah, this morning, I think about hitting all the time. I love to hit, and I shared a video on my story today of one of the last things I did, and that was hit a home run when I one of my last at bats playing, and I got to looking at that. I was like, man, what made me the hitter I was? And then, of course, right after that, this popped up. It was a quote by Don Mattingly that talked about this game is it's a game of competition and adjustments. It's not about showcases or spring training games. And what worried him is that we're so focused on exit speeds, launch angles, these showcases, these performance things, that we're not looking at these kids on, what about situations? Who's adjusting? Because, what wins a Major League Baseball game? What team adjusts first, right? How are you adjusting to the pitcher's, sequencing? And this, again, it goes back to something that I thought was great by Pete Rose. He said, I had more than 4 at-bats a game. He said, I had 27 at-bats in a game. I would watch. I would study. This was before tape. This is before, you'd have to chart the pitches to find out what was going on, and he would talk to the athletes. That is building the approach. That is building the execution or changing the adjustments. If 75% of the first pitch is a fastball, in the middle of the zone, what else would you be looking for? You would be looking dead red fastball, right?
It's a curious thing you bring that up, because we talk about this in our world today, and I heard John Smoltz talking about, I've heard hitters say, I've heard it said, why can't they adjust and hit it the other way and hit it the other way?
I remember this conversation.
To me, the shift, if you're a professional hitter, that doesn't mean you're always going to be successful hitting it the other way. It just isn't. But I don't see the swings are not evolving to do that. And he blamed it. He said it was more about spin rates. The spin rates are more, and they're spinning it more, and it's harder to hit that way because it can't. And I'm thinking to myself, it just doesn't make sense to me. I know we have the technology and we can see spin rates, but guys in the past weren't spinning it.
I've seen some good hammers and good curveballs, and guys that throw electric.
Sandy Koufax couldn't spin the ball.
I think about guys like Bob Feller.
Right.
I guess he was before Sandy's time, or maybe same time frame.
It might be. Yeah, I think maybe similar.
But
maybe before.
They talk about Bob Feller. They didn't have velocity then.
Brutal.
And they talk about him being the first 100-mile-an-hour guy. Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you he threw that baseball, and it had some giddy.
You don't think Bob Gibson didn't have spin?
Well, I watched the way he pitched it. It's like one side's over here and the other side's over there, and it's like that ball's doing something.
So, I don't.
Greg Maddux.
we didn't gauge it. There wasn't, the technology to gauge that. But to say that the spin is different today, and guys can't adjust because of that, I don't buy that. Tony Gwynn, I mean, there wasn't good pitchers. I mean, flaming Greg Maddux. You look at
Randy
Greg Maddux,
Johnson,
Tom Glavine.
Anybody from the Brave squad that year, Steve Avery, you can have all those guys that were in there. But I mean, he faced the best pitchers, the John Tudors of the world. The guys from the Mets at the time in the middle '80s that were really good.
David Cone.
Yeah. Again, guys that I think about Greg Maddux because he was able to do things with the baseball, and he kind of developed that movement, and pitchers started to chase that movement. And to me, what I see with things like spin rates, and what I liked about actually John's comments is that when we run a ball off a right-handed pitcher, we don't run the ball away to run it back on the corner. We're throwing a different ball to run it away, and so we're trying to guard against this pitch and then guard against the cutter. There's just the development of pitchers is faster than the hitters. I do think there is I'm trying to make sure I say this the correct way, but if I got a guy that can spin a baseball, a two-seam fastball that runs in on my hands, I'm not trying to, at 95, I'm not trying to go the opposite way. And that's what we're pitching to. We're pitching to strengths now, but we're just executing pitches a little bit differently. Like, I'm not necessarily always throwing a fastball away. I might throw my fastball in once to throw my slider away, and now I'm out front. Now I'm jumping.
Well, but that's to me what's interesting is I see a lot of this.
The home run is what's got people
I understand.
paid.
And I understand what you're saying, the ball inner half, whatnot. And the guy's pitching away and away and away and soft stuff because he knows all you're going to do is pull and roll over, and we're rolling. That's why we put the shift on, and it's just this rather than that mental adjustment, understanding if he's all he's going to do is sit out or half, I'm going to look away and that simple adjustment, that mental looking away and hitting the ball the other way, you don't see that. And I think to your point when you're talking about those things, and I know people go, hey, listen, this is the game. If you're going to shift on me, how are we not disciplined enough as hitters? I'm going to pull the ball, I'm going to hit a home run, rather than, and this becomes the analytical, this is where the game is, I get it, but I don't care to watch Cody Bellinger strike out 800 times or Joey Gallo to strike out 800 times.
Didn't he just sign with you guys too? Didn't he sign with the Dodgers?
Well, Gallo was there last year. But Cody Bellinger had that one big year, and then everybody goes, well, we know where to pitch him now. And he never, not one time, adjusted.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on with
Christian
Yelich,
he
too.
looked like a 5-year-old with the butt out swing.
Oh, man.
Right?
That's
intense. And I mean, you're looking at that and you're going, wait a minute. I understand people get fooled at times, but that's
often. I mean, he's getting paid $15 million to K it up 220 times. I made some wrong choices, I guess. I could have struck out 220 times and stood in the batter's box. I'd have
Can I
gotten
hit 30 bombs and strike out 200 times?
Well, he doesn't hit 30 bombs anymore. He hits like 15 to 20.
Yeah.
That's interesting though. So I love talking about hitting and then debating on hitting. And, I watched things like why the average is so, much down and part of the shift. I actually don't mind the shift. What's interesting to me is the percentage of, this is before the shift even was there, the percentage of ground balls or line drives pulled middle and away. There is so many baseballs going up the middle that are being outs, that are now outs. And what are we really taught to do? Hit it up the middle. Hit it where it came from, right? And so, like a Paul DeYoung, for an example, he hit like 52% of his swings went up the middle, and like 50% of those were outs. And to me, it's like, well, all you need is a bloop a week, right, to raise your points 30% or 30 points in a season or whatever that number is. And it looks very different from hitting 190 to 220 or 220 to 250 or 250 to 280. A lot of guys are hitting the baseballs up the middle.
Yep.
They're outs now.
And I think that's what you're going to see next year when that shift goes.
We'll see 10 300 hitters, though, next year, not just 6 in the NL. We're growing.
But I think that's the thing. These are the big topics that we talked about throughout the year. We had some fun. We're going to be back out at the ballpark. We're going to 2023. We got our winter workout tour coming. We're going to have some fun with that. But that was the big stuff, talking about the classifications, understanding what those things, parents and coaches talking more, being on the same page, working together, helping develop these kids. I think there's a lot going on out there that's good. I really do.
That's been the message from every interview that we've had on this show has been, and that's what from, so I've been here, I guess, about a year and a half. I think it's that I've been on this show with you, and it's the way that I see it involved is there's a heck of a lot more people out there that have some very like feelings to this sport.
Yep.
And where I thought at one time I was just kind of out on an island by myself, and it's not the case.
No.
And you do have a lot of people in different organizations that really care. And, I always wonder why we're bashing these folks. Is it volume that makes it difficult? Were you put on the wrong team? Did you have the wrong coach? And
that can happen.
And it does happen. I mean, it does happen. And we've done that too. It's just go back to do your due diligence. Ask your friends and family that have played for a coach. Go to their practices. I know for me, I get more frustrated at practice than I do in games when I'm in the coaching side of things. And watch how they respond to situations. I am a yeller. I am a guy that is high intensity. And so if your kid is introverted, it may not be the best to have him with me.
Right.
Because they have to talk. They have to communicate. I don't want my shortstop running into my left fielder. I want somebody to take control. And when they collide, I don't feel sorry. I am that guy. I don't feel sorry for them colliding. All that somebody had to do was open their mouth.
Yeah.
That's all they had to do.
It's a learning process.
Well, somebody usually gets hurt. That's the issue. But at the end of the day, if I'm preaching these things at practice, have these young men go home and work with them on their communication side of things.
Right.
I asked my shortstop, so you want to play shortstop for me? And you're going to have to call it out.
The last point I want to make here, too, remember this. Don't worry about if my son is the shortstop or not the shortstop. Play everywhere. Play wherever the coach wants you to play. Play first base. Play second base.
It's his
play
decision
third base.
anyways.
Who cares?
Or
Play
hers.
the outfield. Play right field. Who cares? Play. Get on the field and play, because the conversations we're having with high school coaches and Mr. Scott Ewell and Scott Goodrich and every other coach I've talked to will tell you where can you play. You may not beat out this guy here. Can you play this position? If you can play it and your bat's working, they'll get you there. And this is high school and college coaches we're talking to. So at those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, don't worry about if you're not playing shortstop. Play second base. Play center field. Play left field. Play right field. Be a catcher. Do something. Stay on the field. Learn how to hit. Learn how to play multiple positions. That's the game.
That's the game. So having experience recruiting college athletes, I would recruit every single shortstop I could. And when you got to the next level, you had
good athletes.
10 shortstops or center fielders. At some point, you're going to have one kid that's going to be a very athletic third baseman, a very athletic second baseman, and they have to they have to change. I mean, the competition is so much fun. I love it. It's I guess something that maybe I live for. I have no idea, but I love to compete. Even at my age, against some of the younger kids, I still try to show it off. I don't win as much as I used to, but I love it. And that's what I noticed. If you want to play shortstop in high school and the coach says, hey, I need you to play center field, don't stop working at shortstop. Why don't you go in practice and do everything you can to make that coach a difficult decision? Right. And leave it up to them. Yes. Leave everything that you got, leave it at the position that you want to play in. I can tell you that I ask kids all the time, what position you play in your summer team? They're always different than what I have on a high school roster.
Yes.
With Coach there. And what the decisions that we make are what we think are best for the team. If we know that we are playing a team that bunts a lot, we might move, and this is especially in softball, you might move your star shortstop over to third base because of the small game, because the athleticism of the shortstop versus the feet that you have, the concrete feet you might have in your corners. And so we have to pay attention to those things. So if we got a stud, I watched a kid play sophomore, junior, and now a senior, and he'll probably play 3 different positions for the high school team.
There you go.
And when he came into high school, the freshman team he's playing that he made on the JV team or whatever as a freshman, he will end up as a senior playing that position again.
One of the best closers of all time, still playing right now, Kenley Jansen.
Oh, you ain't get it. You homer. I'm going to plug my ears. Go ahead.
I'm just saying the
Kenley
truth.
Jensen is not a get out of here. I know he's good. But he is not one of the greatest.
I said he's one of the best.
No.
His stats prove it.
No. How many?
Just because you don't like it,
He's
doesn't
blown
mean
a
it
lot
aren't
of
true.
games.
Later in his career, yes, I agree. So, but nonetheless, one of the better closers in the game
Top 15, I'll give you that.
was a catcher.
He was.
He was a catcher.
Jason
That
Mott
was
did
my
it.
point.
Yeah, I know.
Man,
I'm
you wanna
sorry.
blow up my
But
game. I'm just trying to make a point. and
No,
you're
it's
giving me all
because
the grief
Kenley
there, I
Jensen
tell
was
you.
a Dodger for so long. That's why I did that.
Hang on just a second. We'll do that in a minute.
I was just gonna stay here. You didn't have to.
Oh my gosh. Anyway,
Make it
but
feel better over there.
but this is what make you feel better. This is
He
what
did
we're
hurt my
talking
feelings
about.
with the Kenley Jensen
We're
thing. It's
getting
like
all that. Oh, we're gonna be done. We're done.
it's
the
Kirk
year.
Gibson's a
the year
Detroit
is over.
Tiger, not a Dodger.
We're gonna see. I don't know where he's at now.
No, I'm
He was
seeing
with the
in his
Braves.
playing career. I'm being an idiot.
I'm hoping the Cardinals.
I actually, to be fair, I was actually kind of on the fence that Kenley Jensen would come here and relieve some games for us. But you actually had a lot of guys that changed positions. Like, look at Hunter Green, shortstop. He's now an electric arm on the bump. And you have guys that, I mean, Chase, a guy that is, we've interviewed on here, Krogman. The White Sox now want him to go two ways. And so there's a lot of change.
Gorman, right, for the Cardinals. Third baseman.
He ain't playing
He's
over
not going to
Arenado.
play over Arenado.
Yep.
You got to find a place to play. So the point being, this is what I'm coming back to.
Kenley
As
Jensen sucks.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, play them all. Don't worry about being the shortstop. Play them all.
You are limiting
Be a
yourself.
baseball player. Be a baseball player. Find places you might like to play right field because you're hosing everybody at the plate.
Man, do you remember that throw from the Pirates game that he threw out? It was quick too. Maybe it was Nefi Perez he threw out at third base. I think it was a Rocky at the time. The Pirates had hit off the wall. It's Jose something. I can't think of his last name now for some ungodly reason. And late 90s, maybe early 2000s, he threw it from the right field wall and threw him out at third base. It's like one of the best arms. You know, it's like a Roberto Clemente throw or a Dave Parker kind of throw.
Whatever you thought of Yasiel Puig, he is wild. But man,
Rick Ankiel from
a cannon.
Yeah, throwing from center field.
Mookie Betts. Watch Mookie Betts throw from the outfield. And he was a second baseman.
They talked about last year moving him back in the infield.
And he is just hosing people from the outfield.
Yep.
It's amazing. And the biggest thing with Mookie is the accuracy.
What does that tell
playing
you?
the
Though?
infield.
What does that tell you about if big leaguers are willing?
Yes.
Why can't we be willing at 12 years old to play a different position or learn it?
And that's where parents got to say,
we don't like change.
put that away,
Humans don't like
and
change.
let the coach let your player go, let your player do that and play. Just let him play. Enjoy it. Watch. Hey, go out there and root him on the right field. So if he doesn't get a ball hit to him, he's going to still be at the plate doing the business. That's
Change.
the way it is.
Nobody likes change. Nobody likes change.
Right? 2023 is coming, bro.
We still got a couple days.
We got a few. But
Yeah.
It's still. We won't be back to see everybody till 2023. But hope everybody enjoy your family time. Enjoy that. We have a safe holiday weekend or week and all of that. Everything that way. It's been a lot of fun. 2022 in the books. We'll see everybody in 2023. Hey, remember, Game 7 baseball. Go and get registered. Dave and Dave. Everything's coming up. We got January
I was
7th.
making sure you had it.
January 7th.
Only
is
reason
your
I'm
30
so
for 30, right?
adamant on it is because
No, January 7th is the club
Club.
discount, and then February 7th is the 30 for
3 for 30.
3 for 30, 4 for 40, 5 for 50.
Nailed it.
Discounts. Make sure you get them. Mitch, as always, my friend, a pleasure.
Yes, sir. Thank you for
Everybody,
this opportunity.
we'll
It's been
see you
great.
next year. Happy holidays.